that good, we do cardio. I run like Mario, cause stress like Sicario. But that catches party on, I'm a Gemini, and she's a Scorpio. But that don't cross the minds when we on the cardio.
Tom Holland, a rising Hollywood star, protege of Robert Downey Jr., the Lord of Spoilers, and of course, an amazing dancer. At the age of 16, that guy already held statuettes of honorary British Film Awards. And at 19, he got a part that millions of his peers dreamed of. Today, on the Biographer channel, we will tell you how he achieved success at such an early age. But before we start, make the subscription button white and the bell gray so as not to miss the release of new video biographies of your favorite stars. Subscribe, you will definitely not regret it. Tom Holland was born on June 1, 1996 in the Royal Borough, Kingston, upon Thames area on the southern outskirts of London. It is not surprising that he devoted his life to art because the parents of the future actor were directly related to it. His father, Dominic Anthony Holland, was a famous British comedian. He could often be seen in the TV shows Have I Got News for You and Never Mind the Buzzcocks, as well as a guest of Brian Conley and Des O'Connor. His mother, Nicola Elizabeth Frost, has gained fame as a famous London photographer. Tom is their eldest son. The star has 3 brothers, Sam, Harry, and Patrick. Holland studied at the Roman Catholic Preparatory School in Wimbledon, where he enrolled in 2008. In the early years, the boy became interested in dancing. He studied hip-hop at the Nifty Feet Dance School in Wimbledon. In 2006, when Tom was performing with a school dance group at a festival in Richmond, he was noticed by an assistant choreographer, Peter Darling, who was working on the play Billy Elliot and was invited to the casting. Today, the actor remembers how he came to the theater with his parents on a rainy morning and saw a long queue of contestants. When Dominic and Nicola saw a long line of boys dressed in tights, they realized that their son had no chance because Tom had never been professionally engaged in dancing and had not even attended a drama club. But director Stephen Daldry noticed the boy's potential and selected him for further auditions. When the choreographers expressed their indignation at the fact that Tom does not know how to dance at all, Daldry replied, "Then teach him." After 8 auditions and 2 years of training, Holland was taken into the troupe of performers of the musical Billy Elliot, according to the plot of which a boy named Billy tries to break into the world of ballet. Tom was supposed to play Michael Caffrey, Billy's best friend. On June 28, 2008, he made his stage debut in that role. And 3 months later, he appeared on stage for the first time in the main role. Tom Holland played 180 performances in 3 years in that role. Immediately after his debut in the role of Billy, the young dancer first appeared on TV screens. He gave his first interview for the TV channel 5. Later, he was a guest on ITV1 as well as on the Mylene Class show. But the artist's classmates were not enthusiastic about his passion for dancing and teased him. In order to look more masculine in their eyes, Tom practiced rugby. Gymnastics was another of his hobbies. On March 8, 2010, for the first anniversary of the musical, 4 actors who had ever played the role of Billy, including Tom Holland, were invited to a meeting with British Prime Minister Gordon Brown. The young star got into the world of big cinema with the help of cartoons. In 2011, Tom Holland gave his voice to Sho, one of the main characters of the anime The Secret World of Arity, from the Japanese studio Ghibli. And a year later, Tom's debut film role followed. He played in Juan Antonio Bayana's film The Impossible. The film received positive reviews from critics and subsequently was a box office success. The film grossed $180.3 million. Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts played in the film together with Tom, Both actors highly appreciated Holland's talent. It was wonderful watching Tom, who had never worked in front of a camera before, to see him really get it and grow as a film actor as he went along. He's really talented and polite to everyone. It's very easy for children to lose perspective, but he's absolutely on the right road and a brilliant actor. Tom also has a very warm relationship with Naomi Watts. The actress had a great influence on his future career. Thanks to her support, Holland realized that he should pursue acting. His confidence was reinforced by the fact that he was awarded 18 nominations for the role, 8 of which he got. Among the awards that Tom received were the National Board of Review Award in the category Breakthrough Performance and the London Film Critics Circle Award in the category Young British Performer of the Year. The father was very proud of his eldest son. "I've tried to conquer Hollywood for 20 years," he told an interviewer at one of the prestigious awards. "And finally, I'm here, on a red carpet, but only as an attendant to the real star. Today, my son has more fans than I ever had in my entire life." After graduation, it was obvious that Holland would connect his life with cinema. In 2012, Tom became a student at the London School for Performing Arts and Technology, better known as the Brit School. At one time, its graduates were many celebrities, including singers Adele, Amy Winehouse, Katie Melua, Leona Lewis, and Kate Nash. In parallel with his studies, Tom continued to act in films. Shortly after that, Kevin MacDonald's military melodrama How I Live Now was released. On the set of this movie, Tom acted with Saoirse Ronan. He played the role of her on-screen cousin Isaac. In 2015, Tom appeared on the big screens in the movie In the Heart of the Sea as a young cabin boy, Thomas Nickerson, along with Chris Hemsworth and Cillian Murphy. The plot tells the story of a sailor who survived after a grueling wandering on the sea waves in a dinghy with other members of the crew of a whaling ship sunk by a whale.
Hey, I said come here.
Although the epic was a box office failure, it provided an opportunity to test Tom's courage in difficult shooting conditions. For realism, for several weeks before the start of filming, the actors mastered whaling, learned how to sail, learned rowing, read a lot of books, and visited the gym together in order to feel like a real ship's crew. At the same time, in order to look as similar as possible to the team members suffering from hunger and dehydration, all the actors had to adhere to a strict diet, to consume no more than 500 to 600 calories a day. The actors were often seasick during filming, they got sunburn, but for everyone that stepped outside of their comfort zone became an exciting adventure. In the same year, Tom starred in several episodes of the popular British historical miniseries Wolf Hall, based on the novels of the writer Hilary Mantel. The project received critical acclaim and 8 nominations for the Primetime Emmy Award. In the future, the portfolio of the star continued to update with films and TV series. I will be glad if you write in the comments which projects with Tom's participation you have seen and which of his roles you like the most. I read and like everything. In 2016, the thriller Edge of Winter was released. It is about a lonely man who gets the opportunity to get closer to his 2 sons when his ex-wife leaves them to be looked after by him. But instead of a family idyll, the brothers are waiting for a terrible night in an abandoned hut, shaken by the blows of a snowstorm. The film could have turned out to be a good thriller about survival in difficult natural conditions, but unfortunately, the debutante director decided to invent his 3rd version of the development of the story, which turned out to not be successful. Therefore, the film did not receive a very warm reception. Tom also got a chance to try his hand as a director. In 2015, he created a short film, Tweet, and said that in the future he could devote himself to this profession. And just a few days after the premiere of this project, Tom's life changed completely and totally. He got the role that made him the idol of millions. As soon as Holland heard about the casting, he immediately called the agent and asked to get him the audition. The role of Peter Parker was the embodiment of a childhood dream because the actor grew up on Spider-Man films and tried on more than a dozen costumes. But before signing the contract, Tom had to go through several stages of casting, including joint auditions with Robert Downey Jr. Holland believes that these are the best tests he has ever had, despite the fact that they did not go according to plan at all, because Robert, in a sense, set him up.
Like, him and I were riffing off of each other. Like, my agents had told me that Marvel like you to learn the words exactly. You can't improvise, you can't do any of that. So I learned the words exactly, and then on the first take, Downey just completely changed the scene. So we started riffing with each other, and I mean, to sound like a bit of a dick, I rang my mum afterwards, and I was like, Mum, I think I've got it. Like, that was like the best audition I've ever done. Like, that couldn't have gone any better. And then 6 weeks go by, and I didn't hear anything.
Probably, it was improvisation that helped the actors achieve the necessary relationships between their characters. Childhood gymnastics classes also helped the guy to stand out among the competitors because he demonstrated the endurance and plasticity necessary to perform stunts. However, representatives of Sony Pictures Studios who own the rights to Spider-Man were delaying for a long time, not wanting to take risks. They considered the actor too young to play Peter because the former performers of the role were more than 25 years old and Tom was only 19. And when the studio finally made a choice, Holland received news from Marvel in a very unusual way. He saw a post on Instagram from the company that you could find out about the new Spider-Man on the website. The actor thought he was not taken. Frustrated, he decided to go to the page and find out who took his place. But what he saw shocked him. The website said, "We want to introduce a new Spider-Man, Tom Holland." Out of joy, the actor threw the computer into the air and broke it. It seems that Marvel Studios did not make a mistake with the choice of Holland for the role of Spider-Man, because sometimes he is as absent-minded as Peter Parker.
So I ran downstairs, I was going ballistic, my poor dog Tessa was terrified, and my brother Harry, who's pretty savvy with technology and stuff, was like, dude, they've probably been hacked, bro. Like, they would call you, right? They would let you know. And so I called my agents, they were like, oh, this is amazing. And then Kevin Feige finally rang me and said, I've got some great news, you're gonna be Spider-Man. I was like, I know, Kevin, you put it on Instagram.
By the way, Tom beat such wonderful guys as Timothée Chalamet and Asha Butterfield at the casting. But very soon, they also found great roles for which we love them. By the way, I have already made a biographical video about Timothy, so you can click on this icon and watch it if you are interested in learning about the creative path of this talented guy. Follow the link, and we continue. Dominic Holland was very pleased with the news. I used to have 4 sons, and now I have 3 sons and a real Spider-Man. Well, nothing strange. I'll get used to it. The debut appearance in the Spider-Man costume took place in the movie Captain America: Civil War. But even then, it was known that the artist would star in a solo film called Spider-Man: Homecoming. Holland took the preparation for filming seriously. He even received praise from the director for it. He worked hard at sports to gain muscle mass and even, as he claims, went to school undercover in order to adopt the habits of American teenagers. It inspired the star to make the hero interested in studying. Holland immediately fit into the star cast of the Avengers, led by Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans. At the same time, Tom's contract is made for 6 of his appearances as Spider-Man.
I'm gonna sit here so you move the leg.
By the way, that funny moment was an improvisation by Robert Downey Jr. Tom really sat up on the bed in the wrong way, and this fact interrupted Robert, but he did not lose his head and continued to act. They decided to keep the scene, which was another confirmation of how perfectly these 2 actors look on the screen. After the premiere, the charming Briton was struck by national fame. The audience loved Tom for his sincerity and sense of humor, and also for his inability to keep his mouth shut. Shortly before the release of the movie Avengers: Infinity War, the actor gave a hint about the fate of Tom Hiddleston's character Loki. And when he received the script for the next Spider-Man picture, he accidentally spoilered the title Far From Home. Because of that, the creators of the project tried not to tell Holland the details of the plot as much as possible. Therefore, on the set of the sad funeral scene in Avengers: Endgame, the actor initially thought it was shooting someone's wedding. Although he was surprised at the absence of Robert Downey Jr., this scene in the script was really described as a wedding. Hands down, the most memorable day of my career, and still to this day, is the strangest wedding I've ever been to. In July of 2017, the long-awaited solo film Spider-Man: Homecoming, starring Tom Holland, was released. To prepare for the role, the actor honestly watched all the superhero films with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I think this is a time to see Spider-Man as a teenager. We've already seen a billionaire, scientist, and a soldier. He told the press before the premiere of the film, hinting that all the actions of his hero are due to age. The most important qualities that separate my Spider-Man from the other Marvel characters are his youth and innocence. After playing the role of Peter Parker in that film, Holland earned a place in the Guinness Book and received the title of the youngest actor to play a title role in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. On February 12, 2017, at the 70th BAFTA Awards ceremony, 20-year-old Tom Holland won the Rising Star category, becoming the third youngest winner of that award after American actress Kristen Stewart and British actress Bucky Buckray, who received that award at the age of 19. Holland again played Spidey in the crossovers about the Avengers Infinity War, released in 2018, and Endgame, which premiered a year later.
Holy cow! You will not believe what's been going on. Do you remember when we were in space?
Also in 2019, Tom once again appeared as Spider-Man in the second solo film about the adventures of Peter Parker. The star's partner was Jake Gyllenhaal. Fans were so delighted with their on-screen relationship that they even offered to make the main character gay. Holland supported that idea and said that he was open to experiments. In parallel with filming in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Tom took part in the creation of other projects. In 2016, the film The Lost City of Z was released, the plot of which is based on the book by David Grann. Holland starred as Jack Fawcett, the son of the main character played by Charlie Hunnam, in a dramatic film directed by James Gray. It received mostly positive reviews, and on the website Rotten Tomatoes, the rating reached 87%. After that, Tom was invited to play the role of Samuel Unsul in Alfonso Gomez-Rejon's film The Current War. The world premiere of the film, which took place on September 9, 2017 at the Toronto International Film Festival, was overshadowed by the scandal surrounding allegations of sexual harassment by the producer of the project, Harvey Weinstein. The film was removed from distribution and its release was postponed indefinitely. The world premiere of the updated director's version, modified with the participation of Martin Scorsese, took place only in 2019. In 2017, Tom played one of the main roles in the Irish film Pilgrimage. It was about a group of monks who went on a forced pilgrimage with a relic of their monastery. The film even received nominations and awards from Dublin Film Critics Circle Awards and Irish Film and Television Awards. The Los Angeles Times wrote, "For all its bloody and violent genre traps, Pilgrimage is a gorgeously short film that carefully renders the details of this fascinating historical period." However, despite the positive reviews, unfortunately, this film is not known to the majority of viewers. In May of 2017, it was announced that Holland would play the role of a young Nathan Drake in the film adaptation of Naughty Dog's Uncharted. But the film turned out to be one of Hollywood's long-term projects, so production was delayed. Sony Pictures Studios began work on the film adaptation back in 2008, but the project constantly changed writers, directors, and even the concept. Only by 2020, the creators were finally able to agree, determine the main cast, and start filming. It became known that the source on which the plot of the film will be based is the fourth part of the series called Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Filming has already been completed in 2020, but due to the coronavirus pandemic, the release was postponed several times, and now the film is expected to be released on February 11, 2022. We hope that these numerous problems have not affected the quality of the picture, and we will see a good film adaptation of the game that many have loved. All that time, Tom has not been out of work, and in 2019, he voiced the main role of Walter Beckett, a socially inept MIT graduate and a young scientist in the cartoon Spies in Disguise, where the actor's partner was Will Smith. The picture was warmly received by critics and viewers. Peter Bradshaw from The Guardian gave the film 3 stars out of 5, calling it an entertaining family adventure, and praised the vocal work of Smith and Holland. In 2020, Holland voiced the title role of the animated film Onward. The film was released worldwide on March 4, 2020, and was well rated by critics, but grossed a poor box office due to the fact that the period of its film distribution was at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is why the film distribution was curtailed ahead of schedule. At the same time, Tom was able to work with Robert Downey Jr. again. He voiced a faithful dog with glasses named Jip in the adventure comedy The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle, which is a remake of the 1967 film of the same name. Downey plays the title role in the film and is also its producer. Perhaps in 2020, a new era of Tom Holland's career began. He experimented a lot, and his characters were completely different in nature from the sweet and innocent Peter Parker. In 2020, Antonio Campos's psychological thriller The Devil All the Time premiered on Netflix. The plot focuses on the tragic fate of ordinary people in a provincial town in Ohio in the period between the end of World War II and the beginning of the Vietnam War. Robert Pattinson, with whom he was already familiar from the movie The Lost City of Z, also became a colleague of the star on the drama set. Filming took place in rural Alabama. Tom played the country boy Arvin, who was very different from him in character, which made the work even more exciting.
Go ahead and talk.
Interestingly, the producer of the project was Jake Gyllenhaal. Holland found out about it during their routine conversation, and both were surprised by such a coincidence. In 2021, several new projects with the participation of the artist were released on the screens at once. In Chaos Walking, the film adaptation of the book of the same name by Patrick Ness, he got the title role of Todd Hewitt, who lives in a world whose inhabitants hear each other's thoughts. The film received mixed reviews from critics. In February of 2021, the Russo brothers' crime drama Cherry, based on the autobiographical novel of the same name, premiered. Tom played Nico Walker, nicknamed Cherry, a retired military medic with PTSD, who returned from the Iranian War with post-traumatic stress disorder and started robbing banks to support his addiction to drugs. Anthony Russo said that Holland thoroughly prepared for the role of Walker and that his work was worthy of an Oscar. The performer consulted with war veterans and former drug addicts to get into the character. In addition, he had to lose 15 kilograms and then get back into shape. The audience appreciated the efforts of the actor, who really performed such a difficult role, very plausibly, but unfortunately, the project itself received mixed reviews. After that, Tom said that he planned to perform several more roles in major franchises and indie projects, and eventually got to the other side of the camera and direct. But in the near future, we will still have a chance to see Tom on the big screen. At least we will see him in the third solo film about Spider-Man, in which Benedict Cumberbatch will be in company, as well as some actors from past film adaptations of the comic. It will be the 27th film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not much is known about the actor's personal life. While studying at the Brit School, Tom met a charming blonde, Elle Lotherington. The couple preferred to keep their relationship on the down low. In all interviews, Holland only hinted that he had a best friend, and that was a girl. The lovers were first noticed during a joint vacation, after which Tom stopped hiding Elle and often went with her to parties, clubs, and movie premieres. However, in the fall of 2018, photos of Tom in an embrace with Zendaya, his co-star in the movie Spider-Man Homecoming, were published. Insiders claimed that the couple carefully hid a romantic relationship, but the actors denied the rumors. In the late spring of 2021, the paparazzi caught the actors who spent time together in Los Angeles. In one of the photos, Zendaya and Tom were kissing. The actors themselves explained that by the desire to make fun of the paparazzi, but we still don't know how things really are. Perhaps it's just a PR stunt timed to coincide with the release of a film with their participation. Or maybe the guys really date, but they don't want to say it to the public. And which of these theories do you think is more true? Write your opinion in the comments. And now it's time for interesting facts about the actor that you might not know. Tom has dyslexia, but it has not become an obstacle to building a career. Holland once again proved that he was not afraid to experiment when he performed Rihanna's dance from the video for the track Umbrella at the Lip Sync Battle Show in 2017. The video went viral. According to the actor, shortly before the approval of the role of Peter Parker, his career seemed to have reached a dead end. Therefore, Mom decided to send the performer to carpentry courses where he spent almost 2 months. According to Holland's filmography and the reaction of critics to his performance, it can be concluded that he is not always lucky with projects, but even in forgettable movies, he does his best and copes with his task 100%, no matter how contradictory his role may be. Although, first of all, we certainly love him for his good-natured Spider-Man. And if you want to learn more about the history of his iconic character, then click on the pop-up card and watch our video about the evolution of this character from the first appearance in comics to the new movie of 2021. Follow the link and be sure, there are a lot of interesting things there. Well, that's all for today. There was a biographer with you. Thank you for being with us today. Like this video and see you very soon. Bye-bye.